nose hides the face, lies the snake. The sun is my disgrace. Boiling heat, summer stench. Neath the black, the sky looks dead. Call my name through the dream, and I'll hear you scream again. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come?
And I am so glad I muted my microphone for that one.
I fucking love that song. Sam Penny's in the house, baby. What's up, brother?
Man, just, living life here in Australia.
Oh, well, dude, welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh. And man, boy, or do we have a badass motherfucker in store for you. My boy, Sam Penny, is here. So glad to connect with you, my friend.
Man, I'm pumped. This is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to this chat.
Dude, I am too. You guys don't know this is a reunion. I haven't talked to this man in about 12 years. So that's my favorite part of the show is when I have my reunions and me and Sam are reconnecting live for you guys. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping, then we'll jump into the show. Is that cool? Awesome. Guys, look, the format of the show is quite simple. We are the Greatness Machine, and we're bringing together greatness from all over the world and really looking for people that have lived their passions to create that greatness. And my boy, Sam, here is neither short of greatness nor passion. So we're going to get to hear about some really cool things he's been up to. And I'm really pumped to ask him to be on the show because I think you're a wonderful human being and you've done some really cool things. So thanks for being here, my friend. Before we go there, though, a couple of things. We are live streaming. So I got my team on standby. Start a watch party. You're going to want to share this story with everyone and then some. They're going to want to hear about the inspirational things that Sam's been up to. And ask questions. I got my team on standby. They'll shoot the questions over to us. We'll ask them as they come in. But as I said before, we do have a very special guest. We're half a world apart. What is it? It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning?
8:30 here in the morning. Yeah.
You're
so a little bit too early for Soundgarden, though.
Never too early for Soundgarden. But you guys, we are so lucky to have my friend Sam here. Sam's a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and head cheesemonger at Cheese Therapy. And he is the 191st Australian in the world to swim across the English Channel. So I'm so excited to hear all about that and then some. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it's 12 years. I didn't realize it was that long. It feels like it was only maybe a couple of years ago that we caught up in Boston. And what a blast that was, huh?
Dude, I can't believe it. I actually, what's funny is that Facebook fucks with you a little bit because you see people as they're doing their things, right? And then you're like, oh, no, it's been that long. And I'm like, no, it's been a decade and 2 years. I haven't actually chatted with you live because we're sitting here commenting on stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it seems like yesterday we were at MIT learning and growing our businesses. And here we are a decade later and a lot of things have changed in both of our lives. But man, so you were in a previous, prior to the cheese business, you were in, I believe it was like a health marketing business. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, it was a medical device company. So we were basically a B2C business. We created a technology that basically improves circulation in your legs. Awesome for post-menopausal women. So I used to get fan mail every week from post-menopausal women.
Nice.
It was a heap of fun though. We just kicked some serious goals. We were in about a third of the pharmacies here in Australia.
Nice.
Yeah, it was an awesome business.
Oh, that's so cool. So did you sell the business or exit it?
Yeah, we sold that. And then sort of went on to try some other things, but like all good entrepreneurs, we have some failures. My next sort of thing after that was a mistake, but also at the same time, I learned a lot about myself and my shortcomings, which I was then able to, I guess, avoid in the future.
So what, I don't want to pry, but what did a lot of entrepreneurs, like the dream of most entrepreneurs is to build the business and then sell it. And then I think a lot of people think that they're like, oh yeah, when that happens, I'm just going to go and hang out. But the reality is the energy that got you to become an entrepreneur, that doesn't just like that doesn't go and start drinking beers on the beach the next day. That energy's there and it wants to do something. And you're like, you don't have that machine of your old business anymore. So now you're hunting for that next thing. Is that what happened with you more or less?
Oh yeah, exactly. And when you've got a sale coming up, you know that it's going to happen in say a month, 2 months time. You're already sort of planning those next steps. And like you say, as an entrepreneur, you can't sit still. You need to keep moving because you just have this insatiable appetite for energy and to keep going. And sort of what I love about entrepreneurship is that it's such a creative space to be in. You're using so many aspects of your mental state, your physical state. The amount of hours that you've got to put in, really just drives you to all hours of the day, of the night. But also, stretching your mind as far as it can go, moving into new parts that you just didn't think you were capable of, learning the entire time new skills. Entrepreneurship is, for me, I just absolutely friggin' love it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, that it's amazing to see that and to see what you've done, which is you're in the healthcare space, and then the medical device space. You exit that business, and then when you started going and like, how did you end up in the cheese business? Because that's such a different business. Like, I mean, how do you end up at cheese when you start off in like postmenopausal, like medical device?
Yes, it's a very good question that I get asked at least 2-3 times a week. And the small Pacific island country of Vanuatu. You've heard of Vanuatu
I've
before?
heard of it. Yeah.
Tiny nation. Third world country. It was owned co-jointly by the French and the English. And Helen, my partner, and I just got absolutely so drunk on Vanuatu for an entire week with a couple of friends. And the English didn't do much for that country, but I tell you what, the French did, because the French established a supermarket there, Au Bon Marché. And the supermarket has this massive champagne section. So I love champagne, man.
Oh, yeah.
Champagne is my spirit animal.
Oh, really?
I love it. And we were just drinking all these different champagnes every single day. But what it also had was this massive long cheese cabinet, about sort of 5-10 meters long. And it was jam-packed full of amazing French cheeses, just stuff that I've never seen, smelt, tasted before. So every day we're having great champagne, but also having these really unique French cheeses. And when we came back to Australia, we just thought, when you go on holidays, you want to recreate little parts of your holidays that brought you so much pleasure. So we went out to get some cheese. But then we realized that we've lost that deli and cheesemonger culture here in Australia.
Wow.
Everything's very much dominated here in Australia by 2 giant supermarkets. And because of the supermarkets, these 2 supermarkets have about 80% share in this country. So the produce that goes through there is it's all mass produced. It really is quite flavorless. Has a shelf life on it that's sort of 2 months, 2 months long, which for cheese is ridiculous. And so Helen and I just, thought, well, how about we just fly some cheese in to Australia? And if, we love cheese, and I'm sure that we could find other people who like cheese, and we'll make a little cheese club. Let's, try and make a business. And that was seriously the extent of our market research on this business.
Oh, we like cheese. Other people like cheese. Who doesn't like cheese, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's cheese. And so we launched 4.5 years ago. And so for 4 years, it was just Helen and I, cutting cheese, wrapping cheese, packing cheese, sending cheese, just eating cheese, sort of every week. And just like it was just tours for 4 years, and then we hit 2020, and our business has just completely transformed. But the link, I believe, between medical devices and my cheese therapy business is that something that I have really worked out is that I enjoy making people feel better. And that's what my medical device company did. It made people feel better. And, you know, cheese makes everybody feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm using very similar marketing techniques that I used back with my medical device company as what I'm using with cheese therapy. So even though they seem completely different, to me, in my mind, they are extremely similar.
Interesting. So your core purpose is the same. You want to make people feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
You're expressing it through a different product, but no, that makes total sense. I mean, I always say the product's the widget. You know, like the widget's the widget, and if you're doing it for the same reason, or if you're, you know, if the product gives us a same feeling, then, you know, obviously it's a little different. But no, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
That's cool. So let me ask you a cheese question.
Yes.
So what's your favorite cheese?
Man, the question I get asked every week. My favorite cheese is the one that I'm eating right now. To be honest, cheese for me is a lot, you know, I don't particularly look at it from the perspective of, you know, sort of that's a nice camembert or something like that. I'm in a fortunate position where I know the cheesemakers, I know their backstory, I know what goes into making these cheeses, and exploring new cheeses with our makers, you know, understanding how, you know, they might have had some hardships in making this particular style, and then tasting that came through. The flavors of cheese change throughout the year. You know, you've got your autumn milks, your spring milks. You know, we might have a drought here in Australia, which changes the cheeses as well. So, but also the people that I'm sharing the cheese with. So it's not so much about the flavors of the cheese that I'm eating right now. It's about that entire experience of, you know, the stories and the people that I get to share it with.
That's so cool. What do you guys do? Are the makers all Australian, or do you guys do stuff from like all over the world? Where are you getting?
Yeah, we do all over the world. So we, you know, at the moment we're about 95% Australian cheeses, and that's because we've been struggling this year to bring in a lot of the the international cheeses.
Got it.
Yeah, but you know, so we've got some pretty cool US ones coming up later in the year. I've got one particularly for Christmas, which is a US cheese.
Yeah.
Because the US has a pretty cool cheese scene, like Australia does.
Yeah.
Australia and the US are pretty much like New World cheeses, just the same as wine. You know, Australia and the US, when it comes to cheese and wine, aren't constrained by the rules that Europe has placed on them.
Right.
And so our cheesemakers get to really try new things. You know, and the cheese out of the US, I love this one. I do it every year. It's called Barely Buzzed by Beehive. Barely Buzzed. It's a hard cheese, like a cheddar, but it's coated in lavender oil and coffee grounds.
What?
And it makes this thing. It sounds so bloody bizarre and revolting, but it's more like caramel and butterscotch. It is freaking amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's because there's no rules applied to the cheese making in Australia and the US. It's awesome.
Yeah, so my wife used to work for these cheesemakers in Northern California, Cowgirl Creamery. You know them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she worked for Cowgirl Creamery, and she'd come home and bring these like, and then she was like, she's like sitting there like working in the factory making their cheese. But I used to get like Red Hawk and their Stilton and all this stuff, right? She'd bring these crazy things. And yeah, it was in Point Reyes in Northern California. There's a really cool cheese scene up there. But I'm with you, man. Like, oh God, you're making me hungry for cheese right now. We had a question come in right now. How do autumn milks and spring milks taste different?
Yeah, so the spring milks are quite they're, I guess, more thin. Just think spring, sort of all the grasses coming to life. There's a lot more moisture in it. They're not as dense in nutrients as what the autumn grass will be. So in autumn, those grasses are really starting to dry off, and they're really nutrient dense. So we get a much thicker, creamier milk coming from those autumn milks. Just so much more flavor in autumn. But also, if we look at something like sort of sheep's milk, goat's milk, spring is just absolutely spot on for those kinds of animals, because we're in the lambing season. Everything just comes alive. So we get a sort of a richer flavor out of an autumn milk, but in a spring milk, it's more lively. What spring's like, man. Like, all the flowers come out, everything's green. It's just a beautiful time of year, and it's also the same. That's sort of reflected in the cheese. Yeah, so it's cool to be able to sort of see these differences in the milks and the flavors.
Oh, it's so cool. So I grew up. My dad's Persian, right? And so I grew up. My dad always had feta, and he'd get like Bulgarian feta and French feta, and like these, and the Bulgarian's very like has more of a sour. It's a little stronger, and I was a kid, and I would see it brined. So he'd have it in this like big brine. And I always looked at him like, that looks so disgusting. I remember being a kid thinking that looks disgusting, right? And then something happened. I think and my dad would make his own yogurt, like homemade yogurt. So he was, just like old school Persian guy making like Greek yogurt for himself, because you couldn't buy this 25 years ago. It was hard to find. But I remember watching him eat the feta, and it had a strong smell. And I remember being a kid and being like, that looks gross. Now, I don't know what happened. I was 21 or something, and he'd eat it for breakfast. Because in like Mediterranean culture, they'll have, like some lavash with some feta, maybe a little bit of eggs. And so when I was, I guess, like 21 something, I got like the feta bug, and I started eating it. Like, I think that's actually one of my favorite cheeses. Do you guys get some good feta down in Australia?
Yeah, I think sort of feta has particularly changed away from the crumbly, dry fetas that
Right.
sort of we tend to know. It's more of a soft curd. Instead of being in a brine now, the soft curd is in maybe like a lemon infused olive oil or something like that,
Right.
or some garlic, and really changed the texture as well. So having a nice sort of smoothness in the mouth, perfect on salads, but even just, sort of as a bruschetta.
Yeah, oh gosh. You kill me. Right? I mean, you are really making me hungry. It's dinner time where I'm at. And we're talking about amazing cheeses. So I want to switch gears here. So you guys started the business 4.5 years ago. You got it off the ground. It's doing really well now. And about probably right after you started the business, somehow you decided, oh man, I'm doing all this cheese stuff. Maybe I should swim across the English Channel. Fuck it. Like how did that come to be? Because were you, I mean, dude, I was blown away to see that this is something you were trying to do. And by the way, so this is for all you watching the show right now, this is how you figure out your friends trying to swim the English Channel. You're watching on Facebook and you're seeing that they're going and putting themselves in ice baths and coolers and stuff. And you're like, what the fuck is that guy do? Like, that's a question that goes in your head. That goes, what the fuck is that guy doing? And then you start reading the comments and you really figure out he's training to swim across the English Channel. And I was like, no way. That's crazy. So let me ask you a question. Were you a competitive swimmer before you did this? Or was this just like this thing you decided to do?
Yeah, I swam as a kid, sort of like, sort of most sports as a kid, you sort of finish at the end of high school. But I took up swimming about 6 years ago as rehab for my back. After years of cycling, my back was ruined. So I had to do something. So took up swimming. What I love is like 50 meters, 100 meters sprints, freestyle and butterfly. That's my thing. Short, sharp sprint stuff. So I thought, let's swim the English Channel, because there is obviously a natural progression between a 50-meter sprint and a 21-mile ultramarathon swim.
Yeah, potato. In the United States, they say potato. It's the same.
Yeah, exactly. You can see, like, sort of, so, and so basically, I've always had this fascination with just trying to do new things, stuff that people just go, you can't do that. If someone says you can't do that, it's like a red flag, and it's just going, yeah, I'm going to give it a go. And so I here in Australia, we had a couple of really famous swimmers back in the 80s, I think it was. So, as part of my childhood, I knew a couple of these big names of the English Channel. And then, the beauty of YouTube, I started hopping on, watching everybody who would, sort of put a YouTube video up, seeing their experience of it. And I just thought, I actually want to try that. I want to see what it feels like to not just swim the English Channel, but to prepare for something like this.
Right.
Because I just thought, sort of, I can change and adapt to anything pretty much. And so I just thought, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. And so I got a coach. My coach actually holds the record for the English Channel. And, he only lives about an hour from me, which was absolutely spot on, brilliant. I live at the ocean here on the Sunshine Coast. So I've got the perfect place to train. But yeah, sort of swimming more than 1 kilometer was ridiculous. So that's where I just decided, yeah, let's give it a go. I was really fit for 50 meters, 100 meter swimming. And yeah, so I just thought, all right, I'm just going to give this a go. I went and did my first cold water camp down in Melbourne. So the water was about 16 degrees. And for the English Channel, you need to do a qualifier swim, which is 6 hours in less than, I think, 15 or 16 degree water.
Okay.
But, I lasted about 4 hours. I was so cold, but I didn't have to, my English Channel was another 18 months away or so, 15 months away. But about a week after that, my coach called me up and said, Sam, there's a spot that's come up in 3 months' time. We reckon you're fit for it. So my 18-month prep became 3 months. And yeah, I know. And then 3 months of transition from 50-meter swimmer into a 21-miler.
Wait. So you did the qualifying swim, but you didn't qualify. And then
I had to then go to Sydney to do another qualifier, which was even colder. But sort of knowing that I had 3 months to acclimatize to cold water, then I just started doing anything that I could to be cold. Winter, I was shorts and t-shirt everywhere. There's a cold pool at our National Cricket Centre near me, which was at about 11, 12 degrees. So I'd sit in that for an hour or so. And so it was, but it was just one of the best experiences of my life, going through that in immense transition, and then swimming the English Channel. When you have prepared spot on, and I prepared absolutely spot on, did everything my coach said, my nutritionist said. I listened to my crew on the boat and did exactly what they needed me to do. It was almost like a victory lap. It was great, and I really enjoyed the day. Stood there up on at the base of a cliff at France. Just stunned by what I had done, but just so happy. It was amazing. Just,
oh my God.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a once in a lifetime experience, but I've done some cool stuff since. It's been great.
I gotta stop you, and I want to rewind for a minute, because I thought you meant 3 months for the next qualifying swim. You just said you went to Sydney for the qualifying swim, and then 12 weeks later, or less than that, you were in the English Channel and you're swimming 21 miles. I don't know how many kilometers that is, like
34 Ks. Yeah.
34 kilometers. Right. So, and just for, I'm not good at converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, but what is what's I think the temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit for the English Channel. Is that about?
Oh, I have no idea what it is in Fahrenheit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bust out a calculator right now. Sorry, guys, we're in the middle of the show, but we're gonna go because our country are idiots and we're on the metric system. We're gonna do this the right way. Okay, Celsius to Fahrenheit. Sorry, I should have my team do this, but I'm gonna do it. All right, Celsius to Fahrenheit calculator. All right. So you said it was when you were training in what temperature?
About 11, 12 degrees.
Fuck.
So I don't know what that's in Fahrenheit.
Okay, for everyone in the United States, that's 51.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're like 18, 19 degrees above freezing. And so that's for 11. Let's say it's 12, 53.6. That's what you were training in? Is that right?
Yeah. So that was when I was doing my cold water acclimatization for that first attempt. And it was fantastic. And so then I thought, well, what next? I hate cold water. So then I came across this other thing called an ice mile. So work out what 3.9 degrees is on your calculator.
It's 39 degrees. It's just 7 degrees above freezing. You're almost in frozen ice. Yeah.
So I did an ice mile, right? So the water was, what was that?
Yeah, it's like it's 39 degrees Fahrenheit.
39 degrees. So the water was 39 degrees. The air temp was minus 2.2. So sort of that's probably about it's like 28 or so.
Yeah, it's below freezing.
Yeah.
No, it's if it was raining, it'd be snowing. It's snowing outside essentially.
It was snowing whilst I did my swim. And all for the joy of because I hate cold water, I thought I'd give this a crack.
I hate this, so I'm going to do the hardest version of this thing I hate.
Yeah, exactly. And and so the way like the Sunshine Coast, right? Sort of, I'm in the middle of winter right now. It's probably going to be 25 degrees Celsius, which is a beautiful day. What's that in Fahrenheit?
70. That's a beautiful day. 77.
Yeah, exactly. So for me to acclimatize to water like this, I set up a chest freezer and had that down at around, sort of just above 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And I was able to work up to about half an hour of sitting in that. And I was doing that every second day because I knew that to be able to achieve this ice mile, I really needed to focus and get this thing done. And I think sort of when I look back on a lot of the things that I do, there's certain things that I can control, like my fitness, my mental attitude, my cold water acclimatization. And so when I decide, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And for something like the ice mile, it is such a dangerous event that you just can't go into it half-cocked. You've got to get into this thing. And so it was like seriously hard. It took me an hour to stop shivering afterwards. I was in a car which was boiling hot. Like, sort of we had the heaters in our van blaring full on afterwards. I'm just uncontrollably shaking. I was so tired after it from just the shaking afterwards. It was phenomenal.
How long did it take to swim the mile?
25 minutes.
So 25, and so when you're, I guess there's a boat so you don't freeze. You could die of hypothermia. I'm assuming that's your biggest risk. What happened? Yeah, they're like making sure that you're not like passing out.
Oh yeah. So I had a guy in a kayak next to me. The first day, on the day before, I had to do like a 1K qualifier kind of thing. And during this thing, I had these 3 dizzy spells whilst I was out swimming. And it actually really scared me. And I just thought, looking up at this guy on an inflatable kayak, I just looked at him and I just thought, if I passed out, I'm fucked. Like, there's no way. There's no way this guy was going to save me.
Oh yeah. There's no way that guy's not diving into freezing cold water to save you. He's
Uh,
like, help.
yeah, and then and then that night we were staying in the same house, and he proceeded to tell me how he saw 2 people die the year before doing it. I was going, fuck, like, why are you telling me this the night before this swim?
Yeah,
So
what's he trying to do? Like,
oh man, I don't
that's
know.
not
I could
good.
not swim. I could not sleep that night. I was just petrified because I also had my kids there as well. I just thought, geez, what if something did happen? But right before my swim, in like the 3-4 minutes before, I was in the car just warming up and getting a little bit psyched up for it. Not feeling very confident though. All of a sudden, the sun came out, and then I reflected on all the actual hard work and training that I've done for this thing.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the whole process became more of a formality. It was unreal. It was such a great thing to be part of. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm gonna tell you a secret. You want to know a secret right now?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you remember. I lost a bunch of weight since you last saw me.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I look different. And so I once I had lost weight. I've always been a pretty active guy, but I was just I had this weight problem as I became an adult, and then I lost the weight, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go. Like I'm going to hit the gym hard because I always love going to the gym. So I got back into the gym and I'm lifting, and I kind of got careless, and I've tore this rotator cuff in college. I was a wrestler in college. So I tore this rotator cuff lifting in college, and I always loved to lift. And then I tore two of my tendons of my rotator cuff on this side. So this is like October 2018. Now, fast forward to March of 2020. I've been dealing with this fucking torn rotator cuff now for like 14 months. And I went and got an MRI and all this stuff. And the guy's like, dude, we're gonna have to cut through a bunch of clean tissue to repair it. I'm like, what the hell is the point of that? Like, you're gonna cut through healthy ligaments to repair a torn one and then repair the healthy ones? He said, it's probably gonna put you in a worse position than you're in right now because it's so deep in your. And I said, well, I'm not gonna do that. I said, what are my options? He said, well, you probably just deal with physical therapy and see what you can do. So anyway, long story short, I do the physical therapy. It gets a little bit better, but it's still like just bothering me. And it's actually now my shoulder blade. And so COVID's here, and I haven't worked out for a couple months because I was doing like some Pilates and stuff like that. And I got a pool. I built a pool, and I've never had a pool before. And I built the pool so it's 14 feet long and 30 feet, or 14 feet wide, 34 feet long. It's like almost half the size of a 25-meter pool. And so it's intentionally so I could swim in it. And I was like, well, I got this pool. Well, first of all, actually, I'll take that back. Now you're in Australia. You guys may not have had this problem, but here in shit show America, I went to go buy weights, but all the weights are sold out because everyone.
Australia was like that too. Yeah. Weights and bloody toilet paper.
Yeah. Fucking dumbbells and toilet paper and hand sanitizer. So the trifecta. And so I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, everyone's on eBay selling them for like 5 times their normal price. So I was like, well, it looks like I can't buy dumbbells to work out. So then I'm like, hey, dummy, you got a pool in your backyard and it's like early spring. You could go in the pool, and it's still March. And I was like, it's too cold. I'm not doing that. So then by the beginning of May, I was like getting stir crazy. I've been in the house now for 7 or 8 weeks. I haven't worked out. I put on a couple of pounds, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to swim. Dude, I've swam every single day now since May 9th, with the exception of like 1 or 2 days. And and on Saturdays I do my distance swim, and this is just, it's 34 feet long, right? So I'm up to almost 2 miles in the pool. Now, I've never been a swimmer ever, but I go every day and I swim. So then I was like, man, I wonder if there's like a distance swim I can do. Like this, I've never been able to do endurance sports because I got short legs that are with flat feet and bad knees. And so, but I can swim for like a couple hours. I'll go in the pool for 2 hours and swim, and like, fine. So I was like, man, I'm gonna talk to Sam because I think I might want to try to swim the English Channel. Like, I think that, like, I was so blown away by you doing it. I'm like, that's a really cool goal. Like,
yeah, it is. It man, everything about it, like, sort of, it changes your entire lifestyle. It changes your focus. It's something that involves your family as well. And it is a huge feat to undertake, but it is just amazing. And the people who make it, about maybe half the people make it, but the ones who don't make it are the ones who just haven't done the right prep. You know, you don't need to be a, you know, sort of a, you know, a swimmer all your life to swim the English Channel. You just need that pure grit and determination to, you know, to get there.
So when you did it, you get in the water, it's cold, right? But you've been preparing for it. And if I recall correctly, you actually had to gain weight to do this. Is that
Yes.
true?
So I've been to the English Channel twice now. So the first time was August 2018. That was in the middle of English summer. Um, I had the absolute dream day. There was no wind. The water was glassy. The water temp was the hottest day of the entire year. The air temp was, you know, one of the hottest days as well. I started in sunshine, finished in sunshine. I had the absolute dream English Channel run. It was unbelievable. And like nobody gets to start in sunshine, finish in sunshine. Nobody gets, you know, just these conditions. You know, one thing my coach instilled into me is that you train for the worst conditions. And,
Right.
you know, when there were massive storms off the coast here, I'd get out in the ocean for, you know, 4 or 6 hours at a time and just swim through crap, you know, utter crap slop conditions. But yeah, sort of, and then, you know, you sort of train for the worst and hope for the best. And man, I got even better than what we'd ever hoped for. It was unreal.
So you go out and maybe I don't want to swim the English Channel now. When I said that, you're like, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. But I mean, it's such an amazing thing to, like, you know, just to try to fight for, right? But so the way you train is you're like, I'm gonna go to the ocean and swim in like choppy, fucked up storm, which isn't that dangerous? That's pretty dangerous, right?
It's as dangerous as you sort of think it to be.
How do you make it less dangerous, I guess is my question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, it's Australian Ocean. Sort of, we all know of Australian sharks and everything like that, and that's constantly in your mind. But you know, sort of, it's more dangerous, obviously, to cross the street than what it is to go swimming in the ocean. But one of the great things that this taught me was to be able to shut my mind off. And so I could, you know, when you're driving on a long road and you just forget where the last 15 minutes went.
Yeah.
I could do that for hours. So I'd be out swimming for, you know, sort of 4 hours, 6 hours or something like that. And just, you know, sort of I'd break my swim up into half-hour slots. And every, you know, sort of half hour would only feel like 2 or 3 minutes. It was brilliant. But the second time I went back, which was just December gone.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, this was one of those things of, yeah, I wonder if that's possible. You know, I wanted to know if it was possible to swim the English Channel in winter, because nobody in the world had ever attempted it. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to give this a go. And so, yeah, I put in even more time in the chest freezer, more time in the cold. Yeah, and
you would have been I think what it was the latest day of the season ever. You would have been like the first person in the world to do this, right?
Yeah, nobody had ever attempted to swim it in December. Yeah, nobody had ever tried it. I put in a lot of work for it, and I had analysed a lot of the water data. I had 11 years of water data of the English Channel temps. So on the day that I swam, which was the 4th of December, it should have been around 12.5 degrees. 12.5, I reckon I could have made that. But I landed in the middle of a cold snap on the 1st of December. The water was 12.5. By the time I swam just 3 days later on the 4th, it had dropped down to 10 degrees Celsius.
Oh.
The air temp was only 6. The guys on the boat were in ski jackets, ski pants, beanies, snow boots, and they were cold. Here I am in the English Channel in just a pair of Speedos. It was dark as well. I started at like 4 a.m. I got about 3.5 hours, about a third of the way across, and I was starting to feel quite sick. I felt like I was starting to drown. I was getting a little bit disorientated and just realized that hypothermia was starting to step in, and knew that I had about another 8 hours of swimming to go, 7 hours of swimming. I just knew that, like, I could try and sort of break out to sort of 5, 6 hours, or just cut it at 3.5. It was still going to be the same outcome. But
like, so let me ask you a question. So like, you're in that situation, and what part were you like, I think I'm going to quit? Was it when you quit, or was it before? Was there a moment, like, because when you have that thought, I think I'm going to quit, normally that's when you quit, right? Sometimes you could push through though, right? So
I went downhill really fast in the matter of 20 minutes. There was this really weird orange glow to the north, sort of looking as if I was looking up to Russia kind of thing. And there's this orange glow, and I thought that it was like a nuclear explosion. I could not work out what on earth this thing was. And then after about 15, 20 minutes, all of a sudden, the sun popped up. And I just and I was completely thrown out and I was so disorientated. I couldn't work out why the sun's popping up in the north when it should have been, I would have thought, sort of further in the south. And it was that point where I started to, feel quite sick and everything like that. And I just thought, thought of my kids, and I thought, I need to be sensible in what I'm doing here, and I need to call it. And so that's when I called it. There really, on a swim like this, when you get to that kind of situation, you don't have the opportunity to fight through something. When hypothermia gets in, a lot of your, sort of just your general body just starts to shut down. And
right.
You need to sort of think about your actual life.
Sure, why not?
It's kind of important.
Yeah, I mean, for all you know, you could try doing it again, right? I mean,
and look, certainly a question I get asked a lot. When am I doing it again? It's not going to be this year, I can tell you that, because really we're not flying anywhere.
right.
But look, I would never say never.
Yeah, man. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, because I watched that and I was like, wait, but you already did this swim. And then I realized that the challenge wasn't the swim. It was that you were doing it in winter.
Yeah. And it was like, I was obviously, I was disappointed when I quit. But I got back to my apartment, my crew brought me back, and I spoke to Helen back in Australia, and, a few tears, but then all of a sudden, all these messages from right around the world started to flood in. And I had thousands of messages from people around the world just saying how inspired they were. And it wasn't, I quit, but what it was that I actually gave it a go. I went out there and put my balls on the line to try something that nobody had ever tried before. And I had all these photos of people, all through the US in your winter there, all these people sharing photos of their lake that they went for a swim in that morning because I was swimming in the English
No
Channel.
way.
It was unbelievable. And it really showed me that people respect someone who has a go a lot more than, someone who just keeps winning.
Yeah, well, and like the reality is, like, and I think also, and I don't know Australian culture well enough, but American culture is all about the underdog, man. It's all about like Rocky the movie, that's like American,
Yeah.
dude, like the fact that you like, of course you didn't do it. It's fucking impossible what you did, but the fact that you tried means that you didn't give a shit that it was impossible, and that I think speaks to the much higher ideology of like not giving a shit that it's impossible and giving a go at it, to your point. So impressive, man. I'm so proud to be your friend and even like know someone that I'm telling you, I was like, literally, I was like, I really like swimming. I think I want to try to challenge myself. And I was like, how many people have swam the English Channel? Because I knew you did it. And I would never have thought, even consider. And look, I live in Texas now, so there's not a lot of good places to train here. So I'm landlocked. but even for it to even be a drop in my mind, it's because someone like you, and I wonder how many people you've inspired, man. That's just so cool, so impressive, really.
Yeah, like, the English Channel is the Everest of the sport, but it's something that a lot more people can attempt, because it's swimming. Swimming is such a great sport. But the thing as well is that once you're in that water, it's up to you. You haven't got Sherpas to carry you across. You've got to put in the effort for months and months and months. You need to get your nutrition right and your fitness and your mental state right. Everything comes back to you, even though you do have a team on the boat. If you have skipped, one day and not done what your coach has told you to do, then it will show up. Whereas, something like Everest, you pay the money, you can effectively get taken up there. So it's, I just love the monument that is the English Channel.
Let
There's
me ask
magic in the water.
Yeah, no, obviously. Can I ask you a question? Because I saw, like, when I started, I actually started researching this. I'm telling you, you motivated me. And I saw that there's like a thing called the Seven Straits, where people, and that's where people will swim these 7 different straits. Have you considered? I know this is is that the toughest one, or there's another one that's really tough too? But
The hardest, I think the hardest sort of ocean swim would be the North Channel from Ireland to Scotland, or the other way. It's the same length as English Channel, but sort of more at around sort of 13, 14 degrees compared to 16, 18 degrees for English Channel. 7 oceans, it's not something that interests me at all, because, when you've done the English Channel, it is like the Everest, sort of, why go and try something a little bit lesser? But I think that's why I wanted to go back and try the English Channel again in winter, because sort of it is like trying to climb Everest in winter.
yeah,
Everybody thinks it's possible, and at this stage it still is. But I reckon that it's one of those things that one day someone's going to crack. And I hope it's going to be me.
yeah, man, you're like the Jesse Owens of English Channel swimming, just like 4 minute mile. Whatever. So yeah, so look, we're heading towards the end of the show here, but I have a question for you that's selfish, my own selfish question. But before we go there, right, we got COVID, your business is crazy, you haven't been able to swim because of that. But I can't imagine that a person like you doesn't have some semblance of an idea of what the next challenge is. Like, what are you throwing around?
Well, I was going to do a run from in Tasmania, from Launceston to Hobart. So that was going to be around 200 miles. And that was for a charity that I'm an ambassador for, called Just Like Jack.
Okay.
So I was really pumped about that one, but that was meant to be October, but that just got called off. Sort of at this stage, my sort of long marathon stuff is my cheese business at the moment. What we do, like, what month are we in? August.
Yeah.
Our August is about 3 times our revenue of all of 2019. So we've
Wow.
had like a 36-fold increase in our business.
Wow.
And so, as you can imagine, sort of all the growing pains that go with that. And it's just, sort of 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. days. So, this at the moment is my endurance event. But it's just, sort of, whilst we've got this opportunity, we're just going as hard as we possibly can. And I think that if it wasn't for the stuff that I've done, English Channel and Ice Miles and those kinds of things, I think that really taught me a huge amount about focus and belief in my own abilities, which has, sort of allowed me just to go super hard. We're trying new things, stuff, we have changed the cheese scene here in Australia. We would be the 3rd largest retailer of cheese in the country now, behind the 2 supermarkets. So in terms of artisan cheese, we're the largest. back in February, it was only 2 of us. Now there's about 25 of us.
Oh, wow.
Oh man, it's just crazy. So, but the focus that I've learned and that self-belief is just one of the greatest gifts that the English Channel has given me.
Oh, wow, man. I love it. So I think you might know, I just wrote a book.
Yeah.
So what you probably don't know is that the book originated from our experience at MIT together. That's actually our last night at MIT, with this thing happened that we did as a group that was like this seed got planted that turned into I became obsessed with core values because of what happened in that group on that night, and turned into a book. And so the book's all about how do you essentially turn the core values into an immersive language for your organization or for your life. It's specific for business, but you can apply it to any organization, and including a family or yourself. And so my question for you is, if you think about, your current, I'm assuming you guys have your core values for the cheese business. Have you guys done that?
Oh, look, I think we talk about our core values every day, but I haven't got them written down on a sheet of paper or a board.
Okay. But you know what they are. So,
yeah.
So what I was going to ask you is, when you think of your life and you think of the business you're doing right now, you think of like, what core value do you think is really the core value that kind of resonates with these different things that you're doing, that kind of are these great things that make you feel like you're alive?
Yeah, I think so. The greatest thing is to always have a go. That's what we do right through cheese therapy. We're trying new things. We're just thinking, we're not constrained by the rules. All of my sort of sporting endeavors, I'm always, constantly trying new things. And I think, we're never afraid to fail. Like, we stuff up quite a lot, but man, we learn from it. So I think sort of that is definitely sort of right up there in terms of our core values. But also, we understand the privileged situation that we're in to help so many people. And that is our biggest daily driver, just helping people. Because of the work that we've done this year, we've kept about sort of 500-600 people in their jobs.
Nice.
We've kept about 20 cheesemakers afloat. And they were all facing financial ruin when COVID hit, and also our bushfires earlier in the year.
Right.
All of our dairy farmers are, in a very similar situation. So we've, just by being able to help so many people, that's what gets us up every single morning, just being able to make a difference with the work and the effort that we do.
Oh man, I love it. Brother Sam, so much gratitude, man. Thank you for coming on here, man. This was really fun, and it was very cool to hear your story, and I wish you guys all the best of luck with the business, and dude, just keep doing what you're doing, man. This is so fun to watch you from the outside.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Darius.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I always forget. Where can people find you guys? Obviously, are you guys just shipping in Australia? Are you guys shipping elsewhere? I mean, obviously with COVID, it might be different now, but what's going on? Where can people follow you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, look, jump onto Facebook, Cheese Therapy on Instagram and Facebook. And you never know, we might be in the US shortly.
Okay. And then what about if they want to follow your adventures with extreme swimming?
Facebook. My Facebook page is Sam Penny, middle-aged bloke, but can swim good.
You guys, you heard it here. I love that. Guys, as far as everything goes, we got another show coming up here in a little bit with Daryl Lamon. She's gonna be talking about New York City and writing and being a professor and all these amazing things. Follow us at The Real Darius M on Facebook. That's where all this live stuff originates from. You can subscribe at the YouTube channel. Our channel is The Real Darius, or go to my website, therealdarius.com, and you can subscribe, sign up for our newsletters, gets all the updates, and we'll be following up, sending out some information about these talks updates, clips, all that good stuff. So thank you so much. We'll see you guys later. Peace.